members. It's the time where we want to welcome and congratulate them and really let them know how happy we are that they're here with us, and really to help build and support our community as the Juice Plus family and the Juice Plus team. So I'm going to encourage you, and I know it's easy to get on early, and we encourage you to do that, but please to press star 6 once you've announced yourself, because just one person in the background having conversation or noise of any type can really make it hard for everybody else to be able to introduce their new guests or their new teammates and be able to be heard and welcomed into the call. So please, let's all have that consideration for each other. As you come on, announce yourself. We welcome you. We introduce any new teammates, any guests, and then you mute by pressing star 6 one time. So that would really be helpful to everybody here and would appreciate it a great deal. So going forward, and again to really congratulate you all for this consistency of this Monday night call over so many years. As I said, we've been actually meeting like this every Monday night for 31 years. And in that time, we've built a community of people that stretch across the world who are like-minded and who really care to support each other in good health and in business. We have started something relatively new, as many of you know. We did a special event this past Monday night to go on Zoom for just a little longer period of time to include both medical professional as well as tips on business and business development. That's going to happen about every 2 months. And so it's really important to realize that when we do that, it'll be 30 minutes before the normal start time, which is Pacific time, 5:45. So across the country, you can adjust that as to your time frame. But this past call, I'm very proud of everybody. It was a very large call. I do want you to know, though, that if you did try to get on, even though we had reserved a line for 1,000 people, that line was hacked into, and it then became limited to 300. So we figured that problem out, and that won't happen to us again going forward in the future. But just wanted to apologize to anybody who may have tried to get on last week on the Zoom event and was not able to do so. It's, I guess, just the whole cyber world is something that is a challenge in itself, but looks like we have that under control for future Zoom events. But again, very proud of everybody who comes to this Monday night call and has for so many years, and especially those people who come to share their information, their inspiration, their knowledge with us on a regular basis. And we've had wonderful speakers to do that now for many, many, many years, as I said. If you are joining us for the first time, a little company history might be in order. The Juice Plus Company is actually in its 51st year. So we've completed over 50 years of success in the marketplace. This company was started by a young man at the time by the name of Jay Martin, who is still the man who runs our company today. And so it's definitely been a philosophy of caring about people and their well-being, not just the team members and partners in the field, but just the population in general. If you look at the product lines over the years, we entered the marketplace so many years ago with a product I'm sure everyone here is familiar with. We were the company that introduced smoke detectors for the home, and obviously that set the pace and the foundation for huge success as time was to continue. We then entered in the early 80s water filtration, air filtration, environmental products. All of these products have been multi-billion-dollar product lines. 27, almost 28, I think we're 28 years old here this month. So sneaking up on 30 years ago, we entered the field of health technology with Juice Plus and the Juice Plus family of products. So the whole idea of safety, good, clean water, clean air, pure food, just all those things that are really basic to the well-being of mankind. And this, I think, has been an underlying foundation as far as our company is concerned, as far as our success. It really is a company that pursues the best for everyone involved. We went on then with the Juice Plus and the Juice Plus family of products. We extended that into now something referred to as the Tower Garden that you're going to hear about tonight. And for the last few years, people have actually been able to grow their own produce, and you'll hear about that as well. So that product really does reflect what we stand for, which is good, clean, pure food, and the result, really good health. So tonight I'm going to introduce our special speaker, again, someone with very extensive knowledge in her field, and it's Dr. Jan Young. She is an ND and also PMD Plus, which means Presidential Marketing Director Plus with our company. Jan Young is a naturopathic doctor and a certified body ecologist. Her passion has been wellness education for the last 20 years. She accomplished that by owning natural food stores, organic co-ops, and teaching classes. Juice Plus has always been her recommendation as far as a nutritional anchor is concerned. Living Tower Farm is Jan's latest venture. It's home to 4,000 eco-friendly, SF eco-friendly greenhouse that uses Tower Garden technology. It is a prototype of future family and community food production. Her nutrient-dense produce is sold to individuals, organic co-ops, and restaurants. The rest is gifted to food banks and groups in need. Teaching others to grow their own tower gardens is her focus. It's all about empowering others to make simple lifestyle changes that lead to better health, wealth, and longevity. So tonight, Dr. Jan Young is going to talk to you about the power of the tower and changing lives one tower at a time. So, Dr. Young, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. After the intro, I figured I was pretty much done. I'm thrilled to be on this call. I love to talk about Tower Gardens, and I'll tell you just a little bit more of my story that Cheryl already didn't. So I've been with this company for Juice Plus now 22 years, which is absolutely amazing to me that time has gone by. And, of course, it was Juice Plus. I started with sharing Juice Plus with other people. I had a juice bar, a veggie cafe, so for me it turned out to be the nutritional anchor that I could easily, safely, and very excitedly recommend to people because it's food, and it was clean, and it was easy and convenient to do so that you could actually flood your body with fruits and veggies if you weren't going to do a juicing program. So from there, along the way, I've shared Juice Plus, and I, of course, have an organization of people who have done the same because I've always been about nutritional education. When I left my juice bar, I always made sure I had an organic co-op available. So we always had organic so you could buy wholesale. But even organic produce has changed throughout the years, that you still have to be very particular if you're very concerned about your food sources and you want to make sure it's clean, organic, as opposed to local. So things have shifted over the years. So how can we actually get the most nutrient-dense food in ourselves and something we're really happy about? Well, years later, after starting with Juice Plus, I saw a farm, or a small presentation farm, that the gentleman who designed the tower had done, and I saw a tower garden. Now, I've learned to grow on the ground, and I'm all about ground growing. When I learned from old-time farmers, we didn't just do organic, they did biodynamic, and you grew with the moon cycle being correct, etc. So we absolutely grow wonderful produce. But it's still difficult today in a busy world to actually have a small farm to grow a large garden for most people. But when I saw the towers, I got really excited. I'm all about clean eating, and I really was never interested in hydroponics because they're in plastic and they're used different kind of chemicals, to grow a lot of the foods. But the tower garden was amazing. It was a vertical garden, so it didn't take very much space. It's like 3 foot round, it goes straight up. But most importantly, it was absolutely done so that I could grow organically grown food on it, meaning it was a food-grade plastic machine It was all earth-based minerals. So what I'm doing is feeding these plants the widest variety of minerals that they need to grow everything strong and nutrient dense. It grows all plants, anything that can grow above the ground that's not a bush or a tree, which to me was alone amazing, meaning that I could cut what I buy at the store down by probably 50% because I live on a lot of plants. And it was easy to do. So I got so excited about this, I decided I would get 2 towers, and later on I decided I'd grow 10 in my driveway, and that was a ridiculous amount for one person. But I have a lot of friends, so I fed a lot of people. But I did so to make sure it was as easy as it looked, right? To know the good, bad, and ugly of it. Well, from there, Cyril mentioned that I did decide I was going to open a little greenhouse. And I started, and I ended up doubling it because I wanted to be able to show other people how easy it is to grow their own food. It's not that everybody's going to do a garden today, but everybody should know that they can. They can without a big lot of space. They can without experience. They can actually grow their own produce if they try. So to me, it was really exciting that I could showcase it to people and just show them if you don't have a big amount of land and you want to grow your own food anyway, you just get vertical. And the Tower Garden itself represents the next generation of urban farming. It's where we're headed in this country and across the world because it's such a highly efficient aeroponic growing system, and I'll explain that in a minute. But in a small area of really tiny amounts of space, it grows massive amounts of produce. But it grows it in 30 to 50% less time than it does in the ground. And it also does it with like 5% of the water and 10% of the space. So everything about it is efficient, but it also allows us to grow food anywhere and everywhere. Meaning if you're in a warm area and you grow outside on your porch or your patio or in your yard, if you're up north and you have a short season, if you like to grow your tower outside, well, you can, fine. But then we move it inside when you can't grow outside. We add LED grow lights, and you literally can grow anything that grows and contained under that light. So you never have to go without a small garden growing yourself. But the main thing about the tower for me was always about the nutrient density of the food, of guaranteeing my nutrients in what I'm going to eat. So anybody can grow a tower, and it's just an unlimited amount of greens and vegetables, but it's a perpetual garden as well, meaning once I plant a tower, which takes you 10 minutes to plant, I will have that produce growing for as many, many months as I choose to leave them grow. The more you harvest, the more it grows. So probably a lot of people on the phone here know what a tower garden is. Hopefully many of you are growing one. If you don't, lots of places to go and look at them, but actually what it is simply is an aeroponic growing machine. The reason it's so efficient, the form of hydroponics, but it grows aeroponically, meaning the roots hang in air. A simple pump pumps up the mineral tonic water, so fertilized water to the top, trickles down, and all of your roots of your plants are perfectly fed and perfectly watered with food that enhances good growth. So it's the easiest way to grow a garden with no experience at all. It's also an easy way to grow yourself to good health. Because once you're actually growing and eating from your tower to your table, and you go out on your porch, you tend to eat better because of the convenience alone. But the beauty of it is also there's no soil, so there's no weeding or tilling. It continually provides your produce. But vertical, it takes less than 3-foot space, and inside it takes the same amount. It can grow in a corner, and you always have a garden going on. But there is no experience needed, meaning you don't need a green thumb. We have so many resources to support people that have never grown anything in their life and have no idea what a plant looks like. But between YouTube videos and all of our resources I'll go over at the very end here, everything is available to help you on your way. And as I said, it grows 2 to 3 times faster, but the main thing is the nutrient density of the food. So literally, produce tastes better. Lettuce has a smell. Tomatoes taste like the old-fashioned when your grandmother had a garden, but it actually has total flavor because your plants are growing as nature designed, even though we took it from the earth. So I am still now, 11 years later, as excited about towers as I was then. but since building the greenhouse, since I talk to a lot more people than most about towers, because I do have a place that people come to buy produce, right? And my customers that buy a tower come back and see me for as many years as they've bought the tower. They're continually coming back. And we talk and we ask questions, and I know their experiences. Okay, but the exciting part is I've seen the impact it's had on so many people that the Tower Garden alone is actually bigger picture. The reason Juice Plus Company started with the tower is because they always look ahead. They're a futuristic company. They know what's going to make an impact in this world. And for towers are easy to grow. Towers are a simple garden, but productive. But towers are making an impact, not just on this country, but will be in the world, because it is the future of food production. But with everything we have been through in the last year and a half, the one beauty of everything that comes from, in my mind, and the one thing that's inspiring to me, is that more and more people have decided it's time to take a bit more control of their life. It's time to make health a priority. And as far as I'm concerned, Juice Plus is the absolute perfect nutritional anchor. I'll repeat that again, but you still have to eat. And your choices on what you make every day make such a difference. But if you can grow a garden and you have it right there for you to eat from, if you can teach the family what real greens taste like and eat from it on a regular basis, tower to table, you will make those major steps towards healthier living because you're making major choices. And what the towers also offer is a security. Our food security has been an issue just because, well, at the time we weren't shopping much. But everything is sensitive. In other words, our food comes from thousands of miles away. I mean, we import more food in this country, 146% more food than 10 years ago, meaning so much of our produce comes from overseas. Or everything here in Florida in organics, the majority is all trucked from where Cheryl is in California. So the food industry is a very touchy thing, so at any given time, things can shift and everything's not available of what we'd like to eat. So if you like to eat well, it's nice to guarantee that. So growing your own, even in a small garden, one simple garden, can impact the difference. Food safety is also an issue, and it is an issue. It's always been important to me. I want to know where my food comes from. My food comes from my hands, my garden, and I know everything that goes in it. Nobody will ever do a recall on my romaine lettuce because I know the cleanliness of it. So if you're growing a tower, and as long as you're using an organic pest control if you need, you're growing totally clean. So there's no chemicals needed, and it's always safe, which is a major issue in food today. The nutritional density is one thing that I mentioned that's so important to me because even if you have the best intentions, you're buying organic and you're going to the grocery store, you shop at Whole Foods, the nutrient density of most of the produce that we buy is probably 30 or 50% less than when it was how nature intended because it's been pulled from the earth in California, say, for instance, because 75% of the organic greens and the greens come from that one state in this country. But it's been pulled, and it was in a chiller, and then it went to the truck, and it went to another cooler, and it went to a truck and came all the way to Florida. And we went through 3 more of those things so that nutrient density broke down every day. It was from the earth. So when you have a tower-to-table eating, it makes a huge difference, and you're guaranteeing the quality of what you eat. Because 50% of the phytonutrients in food develop the last 25% of the ripening phase, meaning when you pull those tomatoes out, they're not developed. The nutritional value is not totally there. So the same goes on virtually any product. So when I plant a tower, for me, just for me, everybody grows exactly what they choose to eat or what they buy at the store. If I grew 1 tower, and I could never live on 1, I'd live on probably 6, but if I just had 1, it would look like celery and chard and kale and green beans and peppers and arugula and a variety of lettuces, a variety of herbs, and zucchini and yellow squash and tomatoes and eggplant, and that would be a normal tower for me so that I literally eat from tower to table. But I know that everything is at the peak of ripeness because I decide what I'm eating by what's ready on my tower to eat. So buying local and buying organic has always been important. Okay, but growing your own can be so much more so and make such an impact in your health. Also, the flavor difference because of that nutrition. The reason many people have bought a tower from me, and we've done this for many years, so we have thousands of growers, but one of the reasons, and I can tell you this has happened at least 20 times, is because I shared my tomatoes with them. I shared my tomatoes to some older gentleman who is only in front of me because his wife dragged him there. But as soon as he started tasting the tomatoes, it brought him back to what real tomatoes, real gardens would gift, and that is the flavor and the intensity of the vegetables, because lettuce actually does have a smell. Okay, aroma, if you cut dill, you should be able to smell it from 10 feet away because nature has telltale signs. The nutrient value of that plant is going to shine in its flavor, in its aroma, etc. So it all matters when things are fresh. So anything you can add up when it comes to building a healthier body can be grown on a tower. I ran into an old article just because I was going through paperwork to do this, and it was on the 10 greens with more nutrients than kale. And it was kind of interesting because it's chicory, of course, lettuce, parsley, romaine, collards, spinach, beet greens, chard, Chinese cabbage, watercress, all of which I have growing on one of my towers. So in other words, it's like a juicing program in intensity when you can eat that fresh. So it's not just about the nutrient value of it, though. It's also cost effective. Tower Garden is a very smart investment because it saves you money. We don't have control of food prices. And like I said, obviously, you can't always find what you want at the store if you're choosing to eat a lot of produce. But a tower garden, once you start growing a tower, like maybe the one I just mentioned, it may take you 2 months or 3. But you have an original investment in a tower garden and put it on a payment plan. And it may take you the 3rd month not to make the payment, because I am making the payment to the tower, but I'm not making the payment to my grocery store. So in 3 to 4 months, your tower is well on its way to getting paid, and within a year, you should always have your tower paid off. But you are buying, and you're not buying, but you are actually growing organic produce instead of spending it at the store. So it pays back in so many ways. It's not just the money, but it's the additional cost. The only additional cost in the tower is your tonic, is your fertilizer, which you will buy about every 6 months. Tower gardens also, which impressed me when I first saw a tower, it's not like an iPhone or an iPad. In other words, I'm not going to have to rebuy it 3 to 4 years. The tower is a lifetime machine, and there's only 2 simple working parts in it. One is a pump and one is a timer, both of which can easily be replaced. So when you go local and you grow in your backyard, it's not just smarter, but it saves you money. It's also extremely eco-friendly, always has been. As I mentioned, this is all food-grade plastic. We use 5 to 10% of the water. It takes over 20 gallons of water to grow 1 head of lettuce in the ground. In a tower, it takes less than 1. It takes less space. Eco-friendly means a lot of different things to a lot of people, but one of the most important things is how safe we are to the earth. And when it comes to growing a tower, it's like giving Mother Nature a break. We are in water conservation and soil preservation, all while feeding ourselves well. And it even comes all together. You can buy a tower. Everything you need to grow your garden is in one big environmentally safe box. So all of this adds up when it comes to trying to live a sustainable life, because especially today when I mentioned all of our imported food, the majority grown for this market, the majority of what we buy at the store comes from great distances away. And because of that, it has to be sprayed. It has to run through a chemical rinse. Even organic produce, if a lettuce is in a bag, if your spring mix is in a container, it went through a chemical rinse to legally be there. So all of these things, which are not sustainable, which means we shouldn't be doing it over and over and over again because the earth and we are going to suffer, we have covered with the towers. So that's really important to me because I do have a grandchild and I want to have great-grandchildren while I'm on this earth. And how we leave the earth matters a lot. So the tower gardens actually were even recognized, I don't know if everybody's seen this, on NBC as one of the best top 10 growing units, indoor growing units on the market today. So Tower's making a huge impact, but for a lot of different reasons. As I said, I think right now it's time for us to take more control of our health. And we've always talked in the Juice Plus world, you know, you need real food for real people to really impact your health. And Towers can feed us just that. I could tell 100 stories of how Towers have impacted lives, but probably the most exciting ones are in families and in children. Kids today, and I don't care what age, we're not talking from 2, we're talking to 22. Children today, many of them have no concept where our food comes from, have really no concept of what real food grown in a garden tastes like. They just don't. We always, and I'm not talking about a 2-year-old that you're giving a little piece of broccoli to get them a taste, because that's how children learn what their body craves, is if they're young and they're fed all of these foods from the earth, they adapt the taste. It shapes their taste to live healthy eating all of the rest of their life. But if they don't come from a home that has salads or greens or any of those natural vegetables that we take for granted, then they have no concept. Because everything out there that isn't food, but it is like Frankenfood, tastes better. It tastes better with children. Everything that you buy in the store that's in a package or a can obviously tastes better because the companies spend millions of dollars making sure your body craves that flavor. But real food attracts children when they're young, and as I said, sets them up for a lifetime. So the families that I see growing Towers and the children that come with their folks when they're coming for produce or for seedlings, and the family together decides what they're going to grow. The children are a part of that garden. Okay, the children are out there to pick the lettuce and to bring the basil in and to pick the tomatoes and bring. Those children learn how to eat well now, and they have a healthier start. Towers are just an aeroponic growing machine that grows an amazing amount of produce, but it is nutritional education in a box. Is kind of what it is. It's teaching not just the children to eat well, but if you have something so easy and convenient, it teaches adults to eat as well also. So countless families come, and I've met so many children. We also, because we've done this for so long, have hundreds of Towers in schools. And every school that we're involved with is always amazing, is an amazing experience. And the teachers have amazing stories. Even through all the issues we've gone by in the last year when they had virtual schools, I've had teachers specifically call me that needed to come by and pick up something because they were going to take the Towers from the school. They took them home. So their online learning with their students, they could experience the Towers because that was a favorite part of their class. And they didn't want to miss any of this. And in one of our schools that started with 2 Towers and decided to grow 8 Towers usually feeds their salad bar, but school was closed. So instead, 3 of the teachers volunteered to keep the Towers garden growing so they could take the food to the cafeteria because a lot of these schools are very low poverty-wise. And so they have free lunch and free breakfast that the parents could drive in their car to pick it up, so they serviced them. I have a teacher that just is retiring this year. What she's doing is coming back next year to volunteer to do the Towers at school. But the children involved in that nutritional education is amazing. There isn't a classroom that doesn't fall in love with the concept. We also work with teens in the class that are special needs class. And these children are special needs, most autistic and some physically handicapped. But they would come and do the work with Towers twice a week. And these children aren't young. They're 16 to 22. And not one of them knew what a kale was or ate lettuce or anything. The only thing they really recognized was a strawberry because they don't have any of that at home where they come from. But by the time they would work, and they would work and do a little bit of everything. They would plant seeds. They would plant lettuce. They would trim herbs. They would do all of the regular growing a Tower just like it was theirs. And in months' time, every single one of them would eat everything on any Tower. And that's a pretty incredible experience because none of them had never had that at home. None of them had ever had a salad to sit down with that didn't have a ranch dressing on a piece of iceberg or ever recognized kale or chard or any type of green. So the nutritional education comes by feeling, touching, and doing, not by just simply telling. That makes an impact. We also have so many couples that are growing, seniors, that literally it brought them together because they're growing the garden. The wife wanted the garden, but it turned over. The husband took it over. Men and women alike love to do towers because it's so productive. So on and on and on. If you're a juicer, if you are right now having a healthcare crisis and looking for better health and deciding to eat more green or do a juicing program, there is no better way to do that than to grow your own tower, to be part of your own healing economically and nutrient-wise. Towers are hit in every way. And towers are growing all through this country and through the world, not just at restaurants and resorts, but small farms. My goal when I started this was to be able to show somebody small farms and hope that people would do it all over the world. I fed 2 food banks for years, but you know what ended up happening? One of them are finally growing their own towers. The second one they're only doing 10, and the other one's doing 20 towers. But the point is, communities that would grow for each other, grow for their own food banks. Churches now are getting together with church members and starting a small farm. It may only be 10 towers. I have neighbors that go together and have 3 or 6 towers. They all share. They share the expense. Within a year, less than a year, it's paid. They're done. But it's made not just healthier people, but healthier communities. And on the whole, tower farms are just the beginning in the world too, because towers are so adaptable to any environment. Even here in this country, we have 24 million Americans live without limited access to fresh produce today. And tower farms, you will see in the next coming years, are going to fill those buildings, the skyscrapers or rooftops. Urban farming isn't a trend anymore. It's actually the future of food. So if you have a tower and you have fallen in love with it and you're a partner, one of our partners, please share it with absolutely everybody you know, because there's no one that doesn't have the ability to eat. They all eat. But it doesn't mean they're all going to grow a garden. But the joy that gardening brings people cannot be duplicated. Many of these towers, what I picture, Cheryl, when I have a daydream about it, because I'm always about towers, what I daydream is every assisted living facility has 3 to 10 towers. Anybody that's there and the seniors that used to garden that are in a wheelchair and maybe limited as to what they can do can grow a garden. All right, I see this picture as communities feeding each other. It doesn't have to be a business. It just has to be sharing with others and doing it in such an easy way. We talk about food deserts. Any of the corners down, as a matter of fact, 3 miles from me is a food desert area. So, of course, there's a number of dollar stores there. If you just give me one little parking lot, I can set up 50 towers. I can feed 50 families. That's what towers represent. The Juice Plus company just didn't look at towers to say, oh, it's one more item, that one person can grow for themselves. It's not that. It's the bigger picture. We can make an impact in our health. We can make an educational impact on our family by teaching them to eat better. And we can impact their future on a large scale anytime we choose. Also, so if you have a tower and you're loving it and you're a partner, make sure you share the information with everyone. It is so easy, and we are so supported when it comes to towers, as I mentioned. You don't have to have a green thumb to grow a tower. Okay, you don't have to know anything. We can actually go to towergarden.com. That's the website. And there is a resource page on there. And there is a resource page to show you everything to do with the tower if you just wanted to search. In other words, growing it, planting your own seeds, planting your babies once they're grown to baby size, harvesting, trimming, etc. There's also a Facebook page, the corporate Facebook page and Tower Garden. Plus, there's our Tower to Table community group Facebook page, where you can look at the resources, you can ask questions. People that are growing towers will share their stories with you. And I don't care what social media you're on, whether it's Instagram or any of them, Tower Garden you'll find there. And Tower Garden YouTube channel is also available for Tower Garden 101 if you want to get a whole picture as to how you grow it and how you set it up and what you can actually do with it. But personal experience is always best when you're growing a tower, but sharing it with other people, making an impact, I just think is absolutely incredible. Towers are an aeroponic growing machine, but what they can produce can actually not just impact your health, but your life in a lot of ways. And I've seen this happen over and over. Cheryl, is there anything you want to add?
Well, I just, in listening to this, and of course I love when you describe Tower Gordon, I just was thinking over the years I've admired you so much because of your just total dedication to pure food and being really healthy through pure, good food. And, folks, this was long before anybody ever heard of a Tower Gordon. Jan was the one who was leading the way, you might say, as far as how people could really make a difference in their health as far as their eating habits were concerned. And I also have to underscore, the fact that what a huge difference it makes for children. And I guess I've had my own, you might say, experiment with this over the past 10 years because my grandson has grown up pretty much in my house, and he just turned 10, so he came along right after the Tower Gordon. And truly, it does. Children, they grew up eating those things. Jan's so right.
Yep.
Plus, they're so proud. And they eat things that they grow because it really is their production, and they're really proud of it. So it's just huge. It's such a great compliment to our Juice Plus powders. The fruit, vegetable, berry, and, of course, now we have omegas, but it's so much what we stand for, just good, clean, pure food. And, Jan, I was one of those people that I thought, I can't grow anything. I've never grown anything, okay?
I remember that.
I remember. I'm sure. I was like, what are they thinking of? What are they thinking of? And
But what happened? How many towers
what
are you
happened,
growing?
we started with one. Today we have 8, and it's like we kept adding. But the other thing is what, like we'll grow one sometime that's just cucumbers. So you'll have cucumbers all over that one, or another one that's just kale. Those can be really beautiful because they look like big plumes, But what's wonderful is 2 or 3 things that are wonderful. There are many, but, to share it with people feels really good. So there's emotional revenue that comes along with the, fact that it's something that not just good for your body and your health and your business, but it's wonderful as far as being able to have that feeling of sharing with other people. And also, it gets rid of that guilty feeling. Have you ever had that guilty feeling where you bought all these vegetables at the store and you had the greatest intention that you were going to chop them up or cook them up, and, in a few days they're no good in the refrigerator and you throw them away? Well, like you said, this doesn't really happen because the biggest fascination to me was you cut off some of the lettuce and it just grew back. I didn't even know that happened.
Right.
So
you're just one person, and you're one person to experience from not being sure from 1 to 8, because now you know the value, what it pays back to you, not just in food, but in joyful experiences with people. That revenue is just unlimited. It's just very exciting. People ask when I'm done with my greenhouse, what would I do? I have to live on at least 6 or 8 hours because I know how I eat. And it gives me all of that, just like you said.
And it really is. It's amazing. And my grandson, of course, went back to, they've been in virtual school, as you said, for a year. And he went back 2 weeks ago, and they didn't really know anything about the Tower Gardens because he's 4th grade, and this was a new school, basically. They're so excited. I guess there will be a number of them set up in the school because they're very excited about what that'll be for their children, for the classes. It becomes a natural as far as a teaching tool is concerned. So just a lot of really good avenues for development. And I'll share this with you, too, because I guess before this whole pandemic started, there's a big aquarium down here in Southern California called Aquarium of the Pacific. And there's a big new section to it that had just been built. And it was showing what the population growth, over the years to come. And by 2050, they showed what was the future of how forms what they would look like, and they would be huge vertical buildings, skyscrapers, where food would be grown all along the edges, all the way up. And that, so we're really, when you talk about the way of the future, we already have that in our backyards with the vertical garden. So
exactly. Even NASA has towers. The reason NASA has towers, and that's an hour away from me in Titusville, they have 15 towers there that are in their dining area. They're not selling tower gardens. What they're doing is they're educating people on aeroponic growing. Mm-hmm. That's why they grow towers at NASA. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
They are right on.
So, you know, it is the way we'll see people not only feed themselves, and I think it's time for people to get back to that. I remember the first time that there was a child that, and this has been a few years back, probably about 15 years ago, I had some friends that were visiting, and we were in my kitchen, and the child was 6 years old, and it wasn't like she came from poverty or deprived, but she'd never seen peaches. She had not ever seen cucumbers before or kale, and so that's just so shocking to me. But as you said, there are many people who have children who have no idea where their food comes from or what a lot of different foods look like.
They're just not used to it. And we can't afford that anymore. Just listen to Dr. Thurston. It was in a conversation, and he mentioned one thing which everybody has to think about. When you're looking at cancer prevention, good dieting, et cetera, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, there's thousands of researchers, but there's all types of diets for a cancer diet, a preventative diet, and they're all different. But the one thing they agree on is what the towers grow best is green, the color green. And the color green is what we eat the least amount of.
Right. And
what people
people know the least amount of and have no idea how to prepare is the other thing. So, there is a lot that goes along with what we as a company, as an organization, as a team have to offer. We were just talking today on our National Marketing Director call about cooking classes, virtual cooking classes, because it's fun. We all want to eat, and we all want to, have the best of everything. And so, with the things that come from our tower, with our product line, with our complete, meal replacement, the things that can be made up with that, I mean, there can be just such a variety of what we can do to really take care of our health personally and that of our families, and it's all wrapped around what we teach, who we are, what we stand for, our fruit, vegetable, and berry powders, which are just such a concentrated form of nutrition that's bloodstream ready. And then, of course, no one ever plans to give up eating, and to be able to learn to eat really well is something else that I think is important this day and age, because our population is not coming up with that knowledge about what good food really is, as you said, in health care and prevention of illness and disease. So I think we're on the right track, and you certainly have led the way in an amazing way as far as the Tower Garden. Now, I will say to everyone, if Jan had not been extremely persistent, this would not be a product line for us, and it's turned out to be something really amazing. So thank you, Jan, very much.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that, and that's why I'm so excited about it today. And it's been a lot of years, but the impact you make on other people just by having the conversation matters. It
yes,
just does.
And that is it right there. Having the conversation matters, because you don't know where that next conversation is going to lead, how many people's lives will be affected because you gave someone information that made a difference in their life, and then they turn around and give others information that will make a difference in theirs. And that's really what we're about, and what I'm particularly proud of. And I'm happy that this has been my career for 33 and a half years, and I'm looking forward to the next 33 and a half. So thanks to the good food. So thank you, Jan, and everyone on the line. Thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you all somewhere on Zoom probably, or hearing you next Monday night. So join us then. Bye-bye, folks. Bye. Thank you, Jan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.